Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Support Raising Podcast, a ministry of VIA. We are excited to bring you the best leaders and practitioners in the three areas we focus on, which is spiritually healthy, vision-driven, and being fully funded. And our goal is that the people we invite to contribute and speak and talk with us can provide some insight to help you move forward in your partnership development. I'm your host today, Callie Davis. I work for VIA as part of the Generosity team, and I am so excited to be joined today by Tony Dentman. Hi, Tony. So glad you could join us.
What's up, Callie? What's up?
Tony, just a little bit of background, started in campus outreach in Memphis, where he served for 12 years, and currently lives with his family in Chicago, serving as the Chicago Expansion Director for Campus Outreach. What I think is impressive is not just your ministry experience, but your education. And I know you're going to touch on your story as well. You're coming with us with a master's in theology. You're in the middle of pursuing your doctorate, and a speaker, an author, a fundraising coach. I think there's just so much. I'm so excited to have you join us, Tony. I think we first interacted or heard about you and got connected with you because you are the founder and executive director of the Funding Tribe Foundation, which got started in 2017. You have over 14 years of experience as a fundraising coach, training hundreds of leaders. And today we're talking about biblically asking when it comes to support raising. So Tony, I want to kick it over to you. I know I touched a little bit on kind of the bullet points of your biography, but your story is so much more than that. Kind of where would you like to start today?
Yeah, you made that sound really good, one of the best hosts out there, but to be honest, yes, God has been using me throughout the years, but when I just think about when I first started raising support, 2009, my first go around, coming on staff with Campus Outreach, just a standard staff, and I was terrified in the support raising process. For real, confused, terrified, not prepared. I was one of the first people in my family to graduate college, and now I got this accounting degree, and now I'm going around asking people from my neighborhood to join my support team, which was crazy. But man, over the years, God has really just walked with me, humbled me, just really drew near to me and taught me a few things on support raising. So I would say I'm an expert, but I would say I'm experienced and trusting the Lord in this process of fundraising. So I'm excited to be here today. Hopefully those who listen can glean a little what the Lord has been doing in my life. So
I'm excited, and I appreciate just the way you are bringing your story in. I think that we all have such personal experiences when it comes to partnership development, and that's what makes the principles feel real, because we live them out in our stories and the people and the relationships that we interact with. So I'm excited. This is going to be more than just principles and book learning today. But first, maybe we should just kind of establish what are we talking about when it comes to asking in the realm of partnership development. How would you kind of give a definition to that?
Yeah, asking, that's the most important part of the presentation, and it normally comes at the end. And if I was just defined it, it's me being an agent of the Lord, persuading others to invest, to give to what his God is doing. So, it's really just me. It's the same as evangelism at the end of the day. God is working, and I just want to be the person that's inviting you into the kingdom of God and be a part of what God is doing. So, it's nothing more, nothing less, but it is the part where we all punk out at the end of the presentation. We put it at the last slide. We put it at the last bullet point. And we get passionate about what God has done in our life, passionate about what he's going to do for our organization and the kingdom of God. And then we skip the ask, or we start getting sweaty and too nervous to make the ask. But I often I breathe, I think, and I was like, dude, I get to be an agent of the Lord, a bastard of the Lord, inviting people to partake in his kingdom. So that's how I defined it. It's nothing more or less than inviting people into the things of the Lord. So
now, how did you grow that perspective? Because most people stop at the being scared and nervous and avoiding it. So how did you get to that description right there?
I didn't stop when I was scared. I was nervous. I was sweating. There's a lot of times I didn't make the ask. and I didn't
Mm,
raise support either. There's times where I messed up the ask and God raised my support. So it was worse. I just
amen
learned
to
to
that.
just being faithful to the process. And you see it all throughout the Bible. That God has just set it up that the people of God are asking people to invest in the things of God over and over and over, from temples to ministries to all these things. But if the simple answer is, I didn't stop when I was scared. I didn't stop when I messed up. I didn't stop when um, I prayed about it being another way. I kept going, and
Mhm,
over time, I feel like the Lord is just working in my heart that it's a privilege and opportunity to ask people to give to
mhm,
His movement, His kingdom. So,
mhm. A privilege and an opportunity. I loved the way you said that. I wanted to touch, if you could dig a little bit further, you just kind of mentioned a range of biblical examples of asking. I think as I've been training and teaching, and as I work with other organizations, I hear occasionally that there's this resistance to want to actually ask that question. We're great with the vision, we're great with the sharing about what you're doing, inviting people to like just general partnership, but suddenly, as soon as we get specific enough to financial partnership, will you give? People are like concerned that we shouldn't do that, that it's not acceptable, not appropriate, and for a host of reasons. But you were talking about a real biblical foundation for why we should consider it, why we should do it. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
I mean, it's everywhere in the Bible. You start the Levites, you go with Moses, you go with David, you go with Nehemiah. Like they all are in the business of asking people to give back to the Lord. It's all. I mean, we look at Paul. I mean, Paul didn't have to be a fundraiser. Ask for support. He chose a path to follow the Lord, and it's became part of the path that the Lord put on him. So yeah, it's all in the Bible. The When you were asking the question, the first thing that came to my mind is like, the times when I struggle to ask, it has everything to do about me. It's not about the person I'm asking. It's not about God. It's about me. And I'm worried about what are they going to think about me. I'm worrying about like what are they going to say no to me. I'm worrying about all these other things, and it's about me, 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 and that stopped me
Mhm.
from asking. I'm even at the
Yeah.
point now. I my ass, I don't even care if they say no. My Normally I built my database so high that like 80% of people can say no and I still can meet my goal. I make that I start with that many people. So I'm expecting them to say no. I just want them to respond. I
Mhm.
want to give them an option to respond to the Lord. And if I don't ask, I won't even give that opportunity to them. So yeah, that's most of the time when I don't ask or when I'm scared to ask, it's about me. So yeah, I'm looking like the little poor little boy asking somebody for support. That's the lie that I believe, and we got a thousand lies out there that we believe. So yeah,
Mhm. Feel like you've got so many great thoughts that just seem to flow out so naturally from you. The even just how you worded it, you wanted to give them a chance to respond to the Lord. And how often is that we have the wrong perspective? We shifted it to like what we're holding, or how are they going to respond to me? And I don't want to ask them because I don't want to hear them say no to me. But man, I'm just loving how you've so integrated that God perspective of this isn't about me. This is how they can respond to God, what God is doing. I love that. I was wondering, do you have some practicals? How did you get here? How do you keep that perspective? Um, how can someone get from struggling with it's a little bit too much about me when I ask? How do they get to that bigger perspective?
yeah. Two things come to mind. Uh, Share the gospel over and over and
Mm,
over. Support raising and sharing the gospel are so parallel. I actually kind of sometimes think they're the same exact thing though. My support presentation first is to convince people that God is moving and what He did on the cross is moving throughout the world, and I want to get a part of it. When I'm sharing the gospel, I'm telling them the same thing. So the more I share the gospel, I'm still nervous to this day. Full time ministry for 15 plus years. I'm still nervous when I do that, but it's something about just the process that prepares me for support raising. So I think keep sharing the gospel. Like if you're struggling with ask somebody for support and you're asking them to support you because you're gonna be out sharing the gospel, just just share the gospel a lot that week. That support meeting will be so much easier. That's one. Two, I thought you asked earlier. It was a moment I think where it clicked with me that it was about me while I struggled with support raising. Because I
Mhm.
started raising for organization, I started raising for other people mission trips, I started raising for other staff, and it was so easy. Like I can
Ooh.
ask all day long. It's like when I'm asking for other people, it is I don't even think about it. It's like, dude, of course, why wouldn't you get on board what God is doing? Look what God is doing in little John's life. Like he's about to go overseas and preach the gospel. And it's like, duh, why wouldn't you get on board with that? Like I'm passionate about it and
Yeah.
I'm persuasive. And I don't even care if they say no. I'm just so excited about this opportunity for them to support somebody else. But then when it comes about my personal support, that's when I get in the way, you know.
Mhm.
So I share the gospel and realize that it's not about you. And if you're big and bad and you really think God has called you to a ministry, just bad. Have a support raising plan for yourself and then raise for somebody else, and you realize it's so much easier to ask for
Mhm.
somebody else. And the only reason that is because your pride is in the way at the end of the day. So
Mhm. Yeah. Wow. And I think I would just kind of add or continue that thought. Just so many people as I coach and as I work with them and their in their brand new first month or two of raising support, just how much it makes a difference if they're in the Word of God, if they are kind of having their prayer team surround them. Like what where you are spiritually is like you can it mirrors where you are feeling often in your
yeah,
support raising. So yeah, talking about sharing the gospel, like getting into like what God is calling you to, and just truth is so impactful because this there is always such a big spiritual component of support raising. I think we too often just put it into a checklist, but God is at work in your life, and the devil is at work trying to stop you and discourage you. And oh man, yeah, it just it matters. Hmm.
yeah, I agree with you so much. And I'm hitting on that pride thing so much because man,
Hmm.
it's I mean, if you're like me, American, raising support, I mean, so much pride rooted in me. And often I'm thinking like, I ain't really got to raise support. I can go take a real job and somebody will pay me more than I raise support, you know, and that's in the back of my mind and things like that. But I think the beauty of the support raising and making that ask, I mean, it's just a continual reminder that I need God. I mean, like, it's not even about that I need their money, but I need God to help me overcome my fear. I need God to help me overcome my insecurities. I need God to help me overcome these lies I'm believing. It puts me in a position that I normally wouldn't face if I wasn't support raising. I'm being so serious. I'm the one percenters in the world at the end of the day. I'm blessed, beyond blessed. But it's something about every time I get support presentation or sharing the gospel, it's like, hey, man, I need God to come through. I need that Holy Spirit to show up because I can't do this on my own. So yeah, it's a good reminder, and it's a spiritual uh, process too. So yeah,
I would 100%. Wow. Now, I want to shift gears just a little bit. I think we've been talking about the ask. I'm curious to know, I feel like I feel like what I wanted when I was first raising support is what is the magical set of words that I will use that will be successful? We've been talking about the heart and the perspective and the why. How do you figure out the wording, and does it change? Is it the same for everyone? What does that look like? The actual words.
yeah. There's three things I'm always asking for. Um, the first one, I'm asking you to pray, and I'm even saying, hopefully, my presentation was good enough to persuade you to pray for me. That don't
Mm,
take much, you know. Like, hopefully, I did enough good. Like, I did a good job that you would consider praying for me. Secondly, I'm asking you to financially partner with me. Like, hey, and 75% of the time I'm asking for a specific number. That's just me. I'm not even that it makes it easier for them, I think, if I just ask them, hey, will you support me $200 a month for the next 4 years? That's a yes or no. You don't have to think about it. You know, like how much I support, how much you need, how long you can be on staff. Like I asked for a specific number for a specific time. Just think about it. Let me know. And the last one, um, I beg for referrals. Like I care about my referrals more than I care about how much they support me. Because I say praying is like, hey, if you're my brother and sister in Christ, God already told you to do that. You know, like the financial partner, that's up to you and God, to be honest. Like I don't know your bank account. I don't know. I don't understand all your budget and all this stuff. But refer me, man. I showed up for a referral, and I'm begging you, asking you, persuading you, and making you tell me no 2 times before you
Mhm.
say no to me referring me. Because as long as I got referrals, I'm still alive in the support raising process. So somebody can support me $2 a month, and I got still a long way to go. But referrals, like I'm still alive. 2 referrals, I'm still support raising.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's my ask is pray, but it's not really that big of an ask. God already told them to do that. Financially partner, it's really up to them and God. They may be already maxed out for their giving, and it would
Mhm.
probably not be good for them to give. I don't know that, but everybody, uh, I'm begging them for
Mhm.
yeah, referrals. So yeah, that's my ask. Those 3 P's, the 3 P's. So yep.
I love that you have an acronym for it. That's awesome.
Well,
Or at least a
after I said it ain't
alliteration.
even yeah, yeah. So yeah, somebody listened like, was that 3 P's? It's like, man, no, it was not 3 P's. At the end of that, but it's a 3 P on one of my presentations somewhere. So yeah, one of
Somewhere,
them.
somehow it
So
worked.
I changed it to a P. So yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm curious. Have you
I,
seen people be
I got you.
successful?
Sorry.
Yep.
It was 3 P's. It was 3 P's. It was prayer, it was partnership financially, and then it was people. People. That was the 3 P's, guys. They're 3 P's, So yeah, I don't
I
want
love
nobody
it.
putting in the chat talking about some Tony ain't have no 3 P's. But all right, what were you saying? I'm so sorry. So sorry.
No, no, you're good. I think I wanted to focus a little bit on specifically that financial ask. And you mentioned that you give a specific amount, trying to keep it really simple for whoever you're asking. Is that the only way to have a successful ask?
No, it's not. I'm pretty sure there's thousands of ways to financially ask. So I mean, we see throughout history, some people don't even ask, and
Yep.
God provide, and then you got people who just send the information and don't ask. God provide. So I just I just treat people as I want to be treated. That's
Mm,
where I'm at. I, I get so many people reaching out to me, ask us work. Like tell me what you want, how much you want, and how long you want me to give. If you can tell me that, I don't have to think. I want to save my brain calories for something else other than thinking about your support. Just tell me what you
mhm,
want, how much you want it, and let me think about it, and I'll get back to you with a yes or no. And if I can't do that,
mhm.
I'll tell you what I can do. So that's I find it to be loving when people do it to me, so I just do it to them.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at. So again, there's probably millions of ways to ask, but
Mhm.
that treat, yeah. I
Yeah.
don't want anybody to say, "Hey, Tony, man, I got $6,000 a month to raise. Would you join my team?" Like, dang, I can't give you no $6,000, and I don't want you thinking that my $50 a month ain't nothing either. So and now I'm thinking about 100 different paths.
Mhm.
But you asking for $100 a month, I'll get back to you on that. So, and
Mhm.
I'm gonna pray, and I'll give you 50 or 200. It's up to where the Lord land. So yeah.
Mhm. Now, I'm just personally curious because I would say to never give people an end date. When you're talking about timeline, personally, I would say I'd love for you to give for as long as God calls you to partner with me. I'm curious why you would give a specific timeline.
Hey, I've heard it from a lot of people. Again, it's just I'm treating everybody like I want to be treated.
Mhm.
And after supporting me for 4 years, and you're questioning about supporting me, that means I ain't been doing what I'm supposed to be doing anyway. So I got people that have been supporting me for the last 14, 15 years on day one, and they're giving because they feel like Tony is doing what God has called him to do, and we're excited about being part of it. So you come on my team 4 years and you don't want to support me up to that 4 year, that means that you probably should be giving it to somewhere else to glorify God enough. So that's more so where I'm
Mhm.
at. The unknown, it's like I am,
Mhm.
and I'm gonna ask on a higher level for 4 years too. It's like so
Mhm.
I'm not looking for a $50 lifetime supporter. I'm now as with $200 come on my
Mhm.
team, can't do it 4 years, and then hopefully you're excited to increase in 4 years because of
Mhm.
God has been moving in our
Yeah.
partnership, in our team, in our ministry. So yeah.
Mhm. Okay, so there's one thing I think I'm hearing from you, and I'd love for you to clarify because what I've seen was with people who give a certain timeline is the lack of clarity later. So I'm raising support. Can you support me for $100 a month for the next 2 years. And their partners think that when 2 years is up, they're actually done. And so they've pre-committed that money elsewhere. Someone else asked them for the support and they're like, oh yeah, well, this person only said 2 years. They're probably not going to be in ministry anymore. I'm going to guess you did something different when communicating with your partners, that they knew you were still in ministry, that you still wanted them to partner with you, that the opportunity to continue was there. Am I right?
Well, I mean, I've been raising for a while, so I've probably done it 20 different times, different ways over the years too. I'm really just speaking of Tony, who's been raising support for the last 14 years, where I'm at in this season of life, you know.
Mhm.
One, I do think that if your first time support raising, ask them to come on your team, don't put no timeline on there. Like just,
Okay.
but
Mhm.
I'm just saying, like, if it's your first time support raising, don't put a timeline on there because of hopefully you're doing your 2 year commitment and you're around later on.
Mhm.
But 4 years is kind of how I mean, that's just a natural rhythm for me anyway. So
Mhm.
I just think there's natural rhythm for people in a sense. So yeah,
Mm.
it's I wouldn't down that hill at all. If I
Mhm.
would say, hey, if you want to dig and double click on a specific, I'm 75% of the time I'm asking for a specific amount for the person. That
Mhm.
would be 100% on that right there.
Okay.
So and and
Yeah,
again,
no, that mhm.
and again, I I haven't read this in a book. I haven't. I mean, this ain't Shadrach or William Dillon or Scott Morton. Like this is just treat people how you want to be treated, and that's how I want to be
Mhm.
treated. So yeah,
Yeah. I think that makes so much sense to me. You've been in ministry for over a decade. So when you give a timeline to people, it actually communicates very differently than if you were brand new and they think you might actually only be in ministry for 2 years. I
yeah.
see how that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and
Um,
I wouldn't coach anybody that's a first year staff with a 2 year commitment to say, hey, support me for 2 years. I wouldn't tell you
mhm.
that because you're screwed in 2 years. Like it's
Exactly. Yeah,
it,
that's what I've seen happen.
yeah, especially if you didn't even update them well, you know. But again, I've been the average person I'm asking for support now. They're assuming it
Mhm.
will be in support for a while. They're not questioning if I'm going
Right.
to leave full time ministry. So that's
Mhm.
like I said, it's a season of
Mhm.
ministry that I'm in.
Yeah. I definitely hear you being really specific that you're asking people for a specific amount. How do you know what amount to ask for?
Yeah. So I may cheat a little bit. I got a donor base. But but yeah, I may cheat a bit, but that doesn't matter. The records of people giving and all that good stuff. But I tell people I coach literally this week, don't ask for less than $200 a month. That if you're just looking for a number, don't ask for less than $200 a month. So that's it. People are going to give what they can give anyway. Just
Mm.
just um I remember when early on, probably 10 years ago, $75 was like the normal giving and may still be, but $200 a month and work your way up or down is kind of where I tell
Mhm.
people. But my ask would consist of, hey, Callie, man, thank you so much for this meeting. I really do appreciate you just spending time together. This has been great. But I'm asking you to pray for me, Callie. But
Mhm.
whether I did a good job or not, God has already called you to do that. Hey, will you be one of my financial partners? And I'm asking
Mm.
Callie $200 a month for the next 4 years. Will you consider that? Pause and just let them think and let them talk to the Lord right there. I'm not interrupting this holy time. Let them think, and then Callie's gonna respond, hey, I'm gonna think about it. I'm gonna talk to somebody, my financial advisor and all this stuff. And then I'm gonna say, hey, Callie, whether you support me $200 a month or nothing, man, I just really do appreciate you. But I'm begging you to think about giving me 5 friends that I can connect to and tell them about what God has been doing in the ministry. So
Mm.
whether you could support me $5 or not, um, I'm begging you for referrals. So yeah.
Mm. Yeah.
And if they refer you, they're probably going to support you. If they don't refer you, uh, get back to praying. Referral
Mm.
is that's the hard ask, to be honest. Like if you look for
Mhm.
the hardest thing to ask for, it's a referral. It's not financial support. It's definitely
100%.
not prayer. So yeah.
Now, I am curious because I think I've heard it differently that some people might hear a financial ask and a referral ask as an either or, and they will do one or the other. So you have to be careful not to kind of group them like in the same breath. But I'm hearing that different from you. And obviously you have a different experience. Can you just talk a little more about that?
Yeah, I wish I could show you my presentation. Before I even get to the ask, it's the three. It's the, hey, will you pray? Will you be a financial partner? And will you help me raise people?
Mhm,
And it's back. Will you pray? This is what I need you
mhm,
to pray for. Will you give? This is what I would like you to give. And then the people I didn't really hit on, but I call them tribe donors. I'm asking people to be a tribe
mm,
donor and help me raise 10% of my support. So literally, I'm not even asking you just for referral. I'm asking you to help me raise 10% of my support. I don't
mm,
worry about the 90%. I'm asking you to help me raise 10% through your friends, your family, your network,
mhm,
uh, because the Lord has given me a call and a mission. I'm begging you to be a part of it. But
mhm,
He has created us to do this in community. And I'm asking you to help me through your friends, through your family members, through your co-workers, your ministry, whatever. Can you hold down 10% of this support?
mhm,
So if it was 6K a month I was raising, I'm asking them for $600 a month that they're going to help me raise. So, and how do they do that? Is by referring me to people until we reach that goal together. So yeah.
I love that kind of together aspect. Something Erin Sparks was just on talking about referrals, and she talked about a subtle shift of really using we language of like who do you know that could be a part of our team and can be a part of what God is doing through us. And I'm hearing that same thing from you of you're asking someone to connect you with other people because they're a part of this now. They are in it with you. And I think it feels like a small shift, but it's also a huge shift of perspective.
No,
And a really important one because we want to treat people like people and we're asking them to partner. So actually have them partner, not just sign a check, not just kind of give you a list of names, but be in it with you. That's what people want.
yeah,
They they want a piece of the pie.
yeah, that's
Mhm.
good.
Mm. Well, I know we're getting a little close to our end time. I've loved just what you've been walking us through, and it feels like there's still so much to talk about, but we may have to save that for another time. Tony, is there any just one final thought you want to leave with us today?
Yeah. I mean, the first thing to come to mind, I mean, if you're listening and you just start raising support, it's a challenging task. And when you really think about it, I don't know why anybody would actually do it. To be quite
Oh
honest,
no.
it doesn't really make logical sense to go out, get a degree, and then ask people to support you as you raise your salary to do something. It don't make logical sense. Um, but through my experience, I'm only 36. Hopefully, I got a lot more life to live. Man, it has been one of the greatest sanctifying
Mm,
uh, processes in my life. So, man, enjoy the process of becoming more like Christ. Like you're literally going into people's life just like Jesus did, and you're asking them to trust the Father. You're asking them to you're asking them to follow you literally as you go fish for men and women. It's becoming like Christ, man. He was rejected. He was mocked. He was like, those are all things that you're going to experience. You take that and be like the disciples was, and consider it a joy to suffer for Christ. And it's not suffering. I mean, some people out there are really suffering, so I'm not downplaying it. But my experience, I haven't been suffering. I get my feelings hurt. I was discouraged. I had to go to Starbucks and get a drink after a couple of support meetings to get in my comfort zone. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I really do believe, I mean, marriage, support raising, and just ministry is like, you take those out of my life, man, I'm not looking like Christ. Like, so enjoy it and trust the process. Be faithful to the Lord. And this is me. This is me. Don't cancel the podcast because of my statement right here. But I absolutely believe that. But if you're not faithful in the support raising process, you ain't gonna be faithful in ministry. Like
mm,
I ain't met nobody that that was lazy in support raising, that was a beast at giving their life away in full time ministry. I haven't met a person that was like super timid and asked people to give to the kingdom, that was like bold at proclaiming the good news of Jesus Christ. Like it just those two, like they don't, yeah, they don't go together. So So be faithful to this process, and it's only going to make you a better minister of the gospel. It's going to make you more like Christ. It's a gift. Enjoy it. So that's my advice I got for you guys.
I love it. Oh, Tony, thank you so much. I know this is a topic that we've covered a few different ways. So if it's your first time to our podcast, please look at kind of our library. You can search asking and see some of the other guests we've had. But Tony, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for joining us. And everyone, thank you so much for listening or watching. We hope you have a wonderful day, and we hope you are a little more encouraged and a little more equipped. Thank you so much.